It's 10:03. We'll call this meeting Wichita County Commissioners Court to order. Everyone please rise. I'll ask Commissioner Gonzalez to give the invocation.
Bob, would you do us the honor, please?
Be glad to. Heavenly Father, we thank you for so many blessings you bestow upon us. We ask for forgiveness when we take them for granted. Guide and direct us now as we do your business, and we pray for leaders that will follow your example. Thank you for this country and all the folks that take it seriously, and all this we ask in Jesus' name.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Bob. Y'all join me in pledge allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas pledge, please.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Take seats, please.
What is that?
I could ask the court to take action on the consent agenda.
Judge, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Harvey to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any comments or questions by anyone? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. First item under general business, review and approve the emergency and regular bills for payment.
Judge, I'd make a motion that we pay the bills as the emergency and regular bills that we reviewed on Friday.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Gonzalez to approve the emergency and regular bills for payment. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 2 is discuss, consider, take action to adopt an order amending and restating an order authorizing the issuance of Wichita County, Texas Limited Tax Note Series 2016, awarding the sale thereof, making provisions for the payment and security thereof, and ordering other matters related thereto. Murphy or Sam, who's leading off? Sam.
Yeah, Sam, I was prepared to do it, but Sam showed up. So.
Yeah. Well, he said the water got so deep, he just floated back this way.
Yeah. Well, Judge, this is my handiwork again, just to kind of refresh the recollection. We were all here on September 12th in order to approve an order authorizing the issuance of the limited tax note, which Murphy had taken bids. Wells Fargo was the best bidder. At the time, on September 12th, Wells Fargo's credit committee had not yet given final approval to the transaction, so wasn't authorized to sign the agreement, which by the September 12th order needed to be signed on September 12th. So Wells Fargo's credit committee approved the transaction last week, I believe it was last Wednesday, and so this is just kind of a way to come back and formalize on behalf of Wells Fargo. They're now authorized to sign the purchase agreement, which will be dated today, the 26th. So,
Sam, what was that interest rate?
1.75%, and that's pretty payable at any time.
Amazing.
So, pretty good interest rate. And the only other change in this document of note is Wells Fargo also required a determination of taxability concept with a taxable rate, and that concept actually is a benefit to the county. In the event that something happens with the projects, which basically takes the classification from tax exempt to taxable, the limited tax note now will automatically adjust to a taxable rate. So in essence, it's a benefit to the county in the event that something like that happens.
Then what is the taxable rate?
The taxable rate, I believe, is 1.75, and then I believe it goes up 2.5%.
It'd be the taxable equivalent, maximum tax rate, that whatever that 175 is, that goes immediately to that taxable equivalent. And that the county will do anyway, but it's just laid out in here now this time.
And it's a similar rate to the other we're entering into with Pilgrims. because that is a taxable note. Those are not
right.
tax
Exactly. On
deferred.
the software contract, I believe that rate was, I think,
2.7.
2.7.
2.7, okay. So again, a higher taxable rate,
Right.
so.
But it's not gonna happen.
Right.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tax incentive.
Because all this is reviewed by the Attorney General, the items we've listed, so, you know.
Right, we've done the preliminary tax diligence, and obviously this qualifies as tax exempt financing, so.
And Sam, I want to thank you and Murphy for negotiating through with Wells Fargo and coming out. They had a question or two, I know, and I sat in on that conference call, and I appreciate the position and your ability to get that ironed out quickly. So,
Sure.
thanks.
Well, while we're handing some kudos, I do want to thank y'all, but the other thing I want to say, when we ran into what looked like a real problem, you know, it's good to know who you deal with, and I called the local president here, called Larry. He was in Corpus Christi in a meeting. I'd say before that day was over, everything had been resolved the way we needed it to be and done. And so that's really nice when you, even though they're a big deal, we can still count on our local leadership to take care of us. And so that turned out well.
Yeah, I think the Wells Fargo representative from Wichita Falls did a nice job of kind of circling the wagons on there.
And if you think Sam's going to back up, you better think again.
Yeah.
He'll punch when he gets in the corner.
I thought it was very nice of you. I do appreciate that. With that, I'll stand for any other questions.
No, we're good.
Judge, I'll make a motion that we adopt the order as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Gonzalez to approve the contract as presented with the revisions that were agreed upon. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. All right. Item number 3 is discuss, consider, take action to approve quote by Total Lawn Care for maintenance around the courthouse parking lots for a cost of $150 per spray application, with at least 6 applications per year for a total cost of $900 to be paid by transfer from 409-4902 general fund contingencies. I had sent you a question, but that answer. So it's only going to be that number of sprays, and
That is correct, and I really just thought we'd do it on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
I'd like to get the pre-emergence down this fall and then hit it in the spring, so that's why I brought the whole thing up, is I just noticed that stuff, the grass and the weed portion jumping ahead of itself. The grass didn't need to be mowed, but the
Weeds
fall
did.
stuff did. That will take care of that pretty quickly, and if we see we don't need to do it, we'll just stop doing it.
Okay.
How many parking lots we talking about?
Well, these two over here, the new islands that
Okay.
have the new growth on them, and then
The whole lawn here at the courthouse?
if we needed this up
No.
front or any edging and stuff that y'all know of, I just was thinking that
It's
those
just a
two over
parking lot.
there and this right here.
Okay.
So
This right here being,
the out front where, you know, this, he'll fertilize on top of, I got more out of the fertilizing, as much out of the fertilizing, the right mixture than I did on my spraying. I've mowed hard all year long, so this guy comes by way of Winfield Solutions.
Oh, yeah.
That's their guy they recommended, and that's how I ended up knowing about it.
Yeah. That's a pretty good recommendation. Okay.
Okay. You making a motion then to approve that?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Harvey to approve the item as presented. Any comments or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 4-0. Item number 4 is discuss, consider, take actions on the Texas County Eviction Retirement System Plan. I had sent that out to you all. This is more of a ministerial duty. We made a change a few years ago. We went from match of 1.5 to 2. That costs some additional money every year. It's in the neighborhood of $500,000 while we caught up, paid up. We still have probably the best retirement system and well managed by our folks. I wish they would, instead of the state thinking they ought to take it over and maybe do as well as they've done with their retirement systems. Maybe do the opposite, let Texas County and District help the state manage theirs would be a better deal. We did look at some figures that if you reduce the match rate, what they would save. I don't recommend that. I think we ought to stay right where we are, but whatever y'all feel. But,
Yeah, Judge, I'm with you. I think that the current plan that we have, and we're paying down our liability as it stands, and y'all made good progress across time with that. So I would make the motion that we leave our retirement plan as is.
okay.
And I'll second that for sure.
Just be sure we do note this. We've had a retiree that's requested three times for us to consider a cost of living allowance. And we've looked into that. That's a very expensive project to do. And quite frankly, I think when we have money to consider that, that means we have everything else taken care of, and we've done everything that our employees feel need to be done for them before we start, retirement is an option people have. Other than the district judges, they do age out, but the rest of them can stay around. So that's up to them. And so I just want to be sure that was given public air. Anyone feel different than that? Okay. We have a motion in by Commissioner Watts, second by Commissioner Harvey to retain the same plan benefits we have had. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried 4-0. We received the jail work order report from Lieutenant Bonin, and I was hoping to see it reduced a little more now. I don't know whether he's done the inventory or they've added back in, but they did complete 17 scheduled work orders and 26 unscheduled ones for a total of 43 completions, and there's still about a list, but we don't have that famous vent fan deal up there. I'm so glad to see that gone. But there's probably about 30 current work orders out between downtown and the annex, which given the size of those facilities and people that we allow to stay there, that's probably not unusual. Okay. Any other additional comments?
I was looking at some of these work orders here.
Mm-hmm.
When it says number of days past due, they set that at 30, they give themselves 30 days.
Right.
So, if you'll, I guess, go to the last page. These are these other work orders are just current work orders. Mm-hmm. And these work orders on the last page are outstanding work orders. The last one there, that 142 days, most of the laminate countertop is cracked and peeling away from the counters. I believe that this is the control room at the annex.
Yes,
and I'm telling you that's something we need to do, but it's in really bad shape.
Well, we need to put a signage, don't sit your large posterior on
Well,
here.
I think what we should do is replace that with stainless countertops.
Maybe so, but, looking at what that takes and we, ought to get that done.
Right.
But that's, despite the 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 work orders on there, that is the best that list has looked in I don't know when.
Right.
So, all right. Anything else?
Do we have anybody here from the sheriff's office? No.
All right, we're down to part of public comment. Anyone in the audience have anything to bring up? Commissioners?
Glad to see you here, Mark. James. Know it's tough to get off.
Yeah.
Whenever you're flooding and you're live in the streets. What I like about Mark is I can call him and say, look, I've been sitting at this traffic light for 3 minutes. and that sucker ain't changed. What's going on here?
They were just seeing how patient you would be. You know, it's hard for them to figure out where you're going to be and do that.
I know. I think the satellite dish on there. or
It's a
something.
tracking device.
Yeah.
Judge, I wanted to comment, I forgot to mention last week about the Faith Mission banquet. It was very, well attended and some great recognition there. It serves a tremendous purpose in our community, and I just forgot to bring that up. Steve, the CEO of that group, does a tremendous job and just a swell fella, and I think the organization thrives because of good leadership and good board of directors, and so it was just a great event.
It really was. I was absolutely amazed with it and the lives that have changed. But I think one of the best things is that work program they have where people are going in, they're actually learning some skills to do some things but that's becoming more of an enterprise. And I know you've utilized their services. You brought them out there, and they turned that grocery store there on 5th Street into a pleasant area. It was not. It had all kinds of problems in it as far as the cleanliness because it was an unused building for several years. They got it cleaned up in a few
They've
hours.
also helped us, like at the park out there, and
Yeah.
when we're so busy we can't get trees trimmed on the right of
The
ways.
trash after the flood just
Yeah.
made that nothing but a holding ground, that park, and they worked really hard and diligent to kind of straighten that area. And they cut back trees for us on right-of-way work in Huntington, getting ready for this paving, and it's just been and there's one of those fellows, what Judge is talking about, had told his story about how he was pulled out of the pit he was in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was headed to suicide probably.
Yeah.
And it was just a tremendous story, and he's the lead guy out there now that helps, work with others.
He got his daughter back.
Got his daughter back after
Never
all
seen-
those
yeah.
many years, and something that I utilize them for, and that Midwest appreciates the help with. They are tremendous sign makers, so they can take a big trash truck on the side and put Midwest Waste logos and cut all that stuff, and they have that equipment to do, and they're very, very, very good at it. So
Did not know that.
they did all of that for us. So
It's
And
really
quick.
a win-win because they are very, very cost-effective. And when we pay them, we're actually supporting Interfaith Ministries. So it's a win-win deal for the county.
It's Faith Mission, not Interfaith.
Faith.
But if you want to,
That's
my
right.
wife would be glad for you to support Interfaith.
No, it's
Mission.
Faith Mission, that's right.
Okay.
But what's the name of that group? What do you call them
Faith
out?
Enterprise.
Faith
Yeah.
Enterprise, that's where I was trying to get
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
Car show in Burke Burnett Saturday. I think it was well attended. Fun. I missed it.
Okay. The other thing, we do have a meeting scheduled on Friday at 10 a.m. to review bills, have general budget discussions. There may be a closed session item that day, depending on, we're going to try to talk to the contractor we were wanting to use on the acquiring of the right-of-way for Gresham Road to become a state bypass road at Burke Burnett. We'll do that. The other thing we had, and it's the rainstorm we had the other night, we fared well from where we could, but there were still quite a few people that had flooding in their homes or businesses. And people need to do, this is not going to rise to the point of being a declaration of a disaster. But if you have flood insurance, you need to report that. You need to take pictures. You need to keep receipts, because what we're trying to do is work through the system of, with your flood insurance, if you have 3 documented events of a significant level, you may be able to get that property taken off, off your hands and paid for it. It's not a sure thing, but we're working right now. I tried for 4 properties from the flood we had a year ago. 3 of those have been approved at the state level. 1 they didn't take. Poor lady is not in a floodplain, but I wondered how much water she got Saturday night. She lives out on the west side of town. But at any rate, that you need to keep good information and keep that so that if we can make a good case sometime for that abatement of your problem. Do we have any reason to come back for a work session this afternoon? Okay.
We did have one of our Wichita Falls firemen, Paul Meyerberg. Is that how you say his last name? Meyerberg?
Meyerberg.
He, yep, he's a chaplain. He had to spend the night at the station because water was coming in every door of his house. And then, of course, our firemen pulled together and went out there and helped him pull up carpet and, try to get their ducks back in a row. But him and his family were absolutely displaced from their home.
Are they still off Southwest Parkway?
I don't know where they live.
That's where he used to.
They live off of Professional Drive.
No, that's right. He's back in. That's.
Yeah, one of those new streets back in there.
Yeah. That's a fairly new addition back there.
I don't remember what exactly street he lives on, but I know
Yeah.
he lives back. I know he used to live back there.
Yeah, Flo and some of the. That's kind of bad news. Live on Flo and get flooded. Okay.
I think every street was flooded the other night.
I know. Yeah, it took me 30 minutes to navigate from
Well, I was with Chief
Morningside.
Reese.
Yeah.
At his home, we were having some dinner with our wives, and he actually had to take over dispatch. He had his cell phone and his fire radio, and there was calls coming in. It was pretty exciting there for a little while.
Judge,
How many rescues were made? You remember, Judge?
What a few.
I have no idea. I know that I've seen water standing in the streets I've never seen standing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Just couldn't run off quick enough.
Yeah.
And just west of town, I kept waiting for
Moderate.
the rivers to rise, and
Yeah.
they just never did. So it just kind of dumped on top of us.
But Lake Wichita was going over spillway yesterday because it came right down on it.
Right.
All right.
Judge, would we be able to set up a work session over information concerning autopsies and what are our options there to look into and manage through, maybe?
I think we need to include our JPs when we do that.
I think so too. But, Willie was telling us that there were some options that maybe we need to thoroughly understand.
Well, one of the things I have talked to representatives about, and we're going to look at, is trying to change the law. Oddly enough, the law allows you to use a medical examiner and use those services, and you remove a lot of the emotional and the pressure to do an autopsy when really it may not need to be done. But you have to be a Dallas or Tarrant County provide the medical examiner autopsy services. If you're not a county that's adjacent to one of them or adjacent to a county that contracts with them, it can be kind of a linking effect, then you can't use them. That's just absurd. Why that law was created that way, I don't know, but it isn't the only one I'd put in that category.
Well, is that cost effective to have somebody come from the Metroplex up here to do inquests?
No. But what they do is they have medical investigators, which is what we did for years, under contract with them, that are trained and up in this area, often are retired law enforcement people do that.
Okay.
And so then the body still is going to be shipped to Dallas or Fort Worth. In our case, we contract with Dallas. But I think it'd take a little bit to do some background work. But part of what we need to do in that is look at that and say, do we want to work towards a change? the representatives, when they were here last week, asked us to get together a list of things. So what I thought we might do is have some work sessions that we would have open it to all the elected officials, or anybody to come in and say, hey, this is something we ought to work on, and see if we can get changed. And we've got, luckily, 3 gentlemen that are pretty proactive to looking at that kind of change, and especially if there's not a physical note to it that's going to cost the state more money, that's going to be more likely. But it's just cleaning up the absurdity of that law that says you have to be in adjacent county. You ought to be able to contract for that service.
Sure.
And do that. Willie, did you have anything else on that, on the autopsy thing that you were thinking of?
No, it's a problem for us.
Well, the cost is just tremendous, and but I you know, I have talked to the JPs on a couple of them that I couldn't absolutely understand why we did an autopsy, and part of it was emotional pressure at the time on 2 of them I know of that, you know, and oddly enough, law enforcement was saying we ought to do that. There wasn't a requirement, and the criminal district attorney is the only law enforcement official that can say there is going to be an autopsy, and I think she's been pretty conservative in doing that. But if there's a crime, they want to be sure they get the evidence.
Well, and it's so hard. I mean, say you had a 90-year-old lady that passed away in a recliner, and you know, you'd think, well, she just died of natural causes. All it takes is one person on that scene to say, I think the grandson poisoned her. Oop, autopsy. You know, if there's one shred of doubt or any kind of accusation, they're going to cover their little tails and they're going to send that body for an autopsy. And I don't know how you get around or how you manage that. But I've talked to our JPs, and I mean, they get it. They understand that it's a problem, but sometimes they just have to do it.
All right, well, we'll work on those. We'll do that, and that could certainly be the topic of one of those to do that.
Apparently, for the small counties, the law is honored more by breach than observance.
What is that? Say again? I didn't hear you.
I said a lot of counties don't go by the law. They
Well, I think we
don't pay for these autopsies on all dead bodies.
Well, and we don't either, but we do have an awful lot of autopsies to do. I have asked Texas Indigent Defense people to look into why our costs on indigent defense have gone, and then the fact that we do a higher percentage of court appointments, as to whether we're being overly generous in that. But the law is very generous in getting a court appointment. All right, anything else? Okay, it is 10:32 and we're adjourned.
I think that's a record.
No.
No?
No.
Judge Sam